giving everyone the opportunity to have this amazing pork. I think we've really got the system right now. It's down pat. We've been doing it for 20 years. I'm really proud of how it tastes. I'm really proud of how we get it right week in, week out. I think I'm especially proud with the paddock to plate story because it's very legitimate and authentic.
This is The Crackling. I'm Anthony Huckstep. Born and raised for their entire lives in a stress-free natural outdoor environment, Gooralie pigs are free to roam 24 hours a day and live their best lives. For farmer Charisse Ladner, it's an environment that also produces incredible pork too. Charisse, how are you?
Good morning, Huck. I'm well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. It's great to get you on the show. You've got an incredible farm there in Queensland. Tell us a little bit about the region you're in.
Thank you. So we're on the border. We're in Goondiwindi. So our farm is actually an hour northwest of Goondiwindi. So we experience the harshness of, it gets really hot and it gets really cold out here as well. But in between, it's lovely.
Well, tell us a little bit about, what's great about that region for what you're doing.
Yeah. So I think probably you can do any type of farming out here. Goondiwindi is renowned throughout Australia as being quite a go-ahead town. There's cotton, there's wheat, there's pigs, you name it. They do it out here and nothing really stops you, and it's a very positive environment to be in, great community, very uplifting, and so you just sort of live out your life and do what you'd like to do, and you've got lots of support in the meantime. Tell
us a little bit about the scale of the pig farm and what you're doing there.
Yep, so we weren't always in pigs. In 99, Mark and I actually bought the family farm, which is named Gooralie, hence the name of our pork. And it was at that stage that we I think that we had to get our grown-up pants on, and we, moved over to the main house type thing and had one of our children, like our first child was on its way, and we had 3, and it was we sat down one day at the kitchen table and went, okay, I'm from farming, Mark's from farming. I actually studied teaching and went and did that for years. But we both knew that we were very, very weather determined, and we were sick and tired of looking to the heavens to rain. And, yet again in that year it was very, very dry and stressful. So we were kind of thinking about succession planning down the track and, what we were going to do and how can we sustain ourselves to be here for the long term. And it was Mark who actually suggested pork, to which I answered, and what do you know about growing pork, Mark? And he said, well, I remember when I was in college that they convert really well with feed. I went, oh, okay, no worries, we're going to go broke. But anyway, at the end of the discussion, we decided to add pork to the mix. We were already doing grain. We had beef and lamb as well. And we wanted it upon the same ethos as that. And we started talking about, okay, we can do pork, but to go in alignment with what we already do, we'd really love to do free range. And we had identified over the years that there wasn't a really fantastic free range product out there. There were lots of people doing free range per se, but it was hobby farming. And there was a reputation that it would be fatty and inconsistent, and then butcher shops would get it one week and then they wouldn't get it the next week, and that they couldn't get this consistency going. And we said, well, we want to do that, and if we want to do that, we have to do it on a scale. So, and that's where the idea was born. And for 4 years, Mark sort of travelled length and breadth of Australia, and we knew a few fundamentals about how we wanted to set it up. We wanted animal welfare to underpin the operation. We felt that, a stress-free environment was going to give you a supreme article. We wanted it to be free range, and we wanted it to be the most stringent certified pork that we could possibly do. So we wanted that accountability and traceability for the consumer. So, and we're certified with APIC through APL, we're free range. Everything that we do is free range. We're 100%. So I think that makes Gooralie very unique. There are 3 types of pork in Australia. There's conventional, then there's outdoor bred, raised indoor on straw, and then there's free range. And so that's what we do, and we only do that.
Do you have any stories of the challenges of getting the pig farm up and running?
Absolutely. It hasn't come easily. So obviously you need a lot of water, which we didn't have a bore. And so we were the last people in Queensland, like the moratorium came and we had our application in. And without that, that hinged on whether we could actually start the piggery or not. Luckily, we got that through. That costs a lot of money, like hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's a huge investment. And it's a double-edged sword. We chose to start with a largish operation in the beginning, to which we have expanded several times. And we're very fortunate in that we've got enough land here that we can do that. That often holds a lot of people back because they're leasing or they're relying upon, other people growing out for them, etc. So at least we had that. But with that, we had to start from scratch. So there was all the infrastructure. Even though it's free range and people think, you don't have the mechanics, etc., machinations of what you do in an indoor system, you have a lot. You've got underground water systems, you've got feeders, you've got massive shelters, because even though they have access to the outdoors 24 hours a day, trees don't suffice because, it's only dappled light and pigs don't like getting burnt. So you need massive shelters in, like portable shelters in the paddocks as well. So there's a lot of expense that goes into setting up a piggery, and more so than people probably identify if they do a quick drive around. That, as well as I think one of the biggest learning curves for Mark and myself was probably going from a farming practice where we had literally one workman, and then overnight you have to add a team, and it sort of fluctuates between 25 and 30 staff now. So we had a lot to learn, and I was grateful for teaching and lots of interpersonal lessons that I had to draw on. And you have to do many things. You have to wear many hats as an employer. So, but we have a really fantastic crew, and we've got a team out here who's on the ground with the pigs. Then we have our truckies who transport them. We have all of our own trucks for that, to keep the process under our wing. And then we have an amazing sales team who are based in Brisbane. So, there's a lot of moving parts to it. And in between, we would just do all of our other enterprises that we had before. So, it's busy, that's for sure.
Tell us a little bit about the breed, and has that changed at all over the years?
It has, slightly. We began with a large white landrace cross, and we used to cross it with a Belgian meat master boar, and it was a fantastic mix, and it allows us, alongside with our nutritionists doing our feed, you get a very bulky pig with a fat coverage which is very complementary, but not too fat, because again, as I spoke about before, that was a really bad catch cry for free-range pigs, and we wanted to get that under control. In the last years, we have actually changed slightly, and due to weather and taste and a demand from the consumer, we've added a little bit of Duroc and a bit of Berkshire in there. So it does two things, changes the flavour a little bit, and also it, the semen that we use for our program here, because we breed everything here as well, it makes for a better foot for, free-range walking, because they're very different. They walk around and you need their feet really strong. And, Yeah, and it's better for the sun because they have just a little bit of colour DNA going through their systems, and they don't get as burnt as easily.
Tell us about life on the farm for the pigs, being in that free range environment. What's it like? What's their life like?
Very stress-free. I have to say, if I was going to be anything in life, if I were to be a pig, I would want to be at Gooralie. I am very envious when I go up there. In fact, like, you'll be driving around showing people, if you're up there for a photo shoot, or, obviously I don't go up there a lot. So Mark's up there a lot more, and then our crew, but I'm more in the office and on that side. But when I do go up there, and just to bask in the glory of how beautiful it looks up there, you'll sort of drive past and they're in the wallows relaxing, having their lovely little spa baths with their mud baked on them, and just relaxing. And you think, oh, are they dead? And then you'll see a little flicker of an ear and you go, oh, no, they're just ultra relaxed. It's very communal. Pigs are highly intelligent, and they have their own little area. So the piggery is on one section of our property here, and it's up the back, which is a sandy, loamy area, which is very important for a piggery in free-range situations because it has good drainage. They have a beautiful view. We should have actually built up there. They have the best view of the place. But there are lots of areas like gestation paddocks for when they're pregnant. Then they have their farrowing areas, which is their birthing areas. So they each get their individual huts, which is insulated, etc. But when they come out to play as such or feed, it's very communal, and you see all the mums looking after the babies, and they interact a lot, and then they go into their own little huts when they want to, and have their time. You've got different areas for your growers, weaners. It's like anything. There are lots of different areas for different stages. There are lots of different feeds for different stages. What you need when you're a baby that's just been weaned off mum is very different to when you're growing and you're 20 weeks old. So there's a lot of science that goes into it. But at the end of the day, I think what we do well here is it's just a really lovely stress-free environment, and a stress-free environment creates a supreme, tender, succulent pork.
Tell us a little bit about the feed and how that works with that as well for the end result. What's the feeding program, and what impact does it have on the end result?
Yeah. So primarily the feed is pelletised. It goes to a local feed mill in Goondiwindi who are fantastic, and, it goes hand in hand with our business because you're so reliant on feed. That's a mixture of grains, so wheat, barley, sorghum. Contrary to what people believe, it's important to know that they don't get nutrients from pasture or grass. That's lovely for marketing, and especially being at Goondiwindi, we know all too well about that. It's very hot here and the grass dries off very quickly, but it doesn't affect the pigs one way. So they are pelletised. The very little piglets, they have what we call a view, which is a very early weaner. It's more like a crumble because, like a little baby, they can't handle solid foods or anything straight up. So it's just very reliant upon their stage and age as to what they get given.
What's the sort of life cycle of the pigs on the farm, and what sort of weight are they going to market at?
Yeah. So a little bit of useless information if anyone wants to learn it. So gestation of a pig is 333, which is 3 months, 3 weeks and 3 days, so an average of about 115 days. So the pigs here, obviously, they're born in their farrowing section. We wean on an average around 24 days, just depending on the size and the need of that piglet. Then they continue to go to different paddocks and areas for growing out. And what we do also is everything is sold by 23 weeks. So that is porkers, which is a lighter type pig, and they can dress at about between 62 and 72. We do a porker bracket, and then you have your baconers, which is bigger, and it just depends on what butcher you are and what you would prefer to have. It doesn't compromise the meat or the fat or anything like that. So it's just some butchers like them smaller, some like them larger, and then we have another avenue which is back fatter meats. So The mums, obviously the mums reach their end at a certain time. But to the advantage of all the salumi makers out there, they love that because it's beautiful for your salamis, your chorizo, etc. They're our three markets, and they're sold very large, obviously, and they have a higher fat content, just like all of we women. The older you get, the more you spread. So, unfortunately, there's some who don't. Yeah, true. We just whinge about it more, I think. Anyway. Yeah, and so here at Gooralie, everything's out at 23 weeks. We did that purposely because one of the things that was a problem, and still can be a problem in piggeries, is boar taint. And Gooralie has absolutely no boar taint. We never have 100% money back guaranteed, and we've never had to honour that. We also choose to use Improvac, which is a safe vaccine which is given to the pigs twice, and it inherently it prevents the pituitary gland from developing in the males, and we do it for two reasons. Because we sell domestically and internationally, we don't want the risk of boar taint, and we don't get it when we sell at 23 weeks, but we just wanted to really make it nuggetry. We couldn't ever really chance that. If you go to airlines or anything like that, if you're going into the Singaporean market, there are so many features you have to think of. So we decided to introduce Improvac, and so inherently the male pigs don't get any testosterone. So they've still got all of their parts, that work and they love, but they are females at the end of the day as far as the meat goes. And that just opens up such a better avenue for us, because the reality is you have to sell all of the pork. You can't just sell your females. You have to sell the males or you will go broke. So this way we've conquered that, and we have butchers day in, day out who will say, I don't care what you give me, it's all beautiful, just go for it. So, and you don't ever risk the problems of, your science like androstenone and skatole getting in there and that disgusting urine smell. So, that's how we do it here.
We've had many guests talk about characters, pigs and their personalities and how intelligent they are. Do you have any stories of the personalities of different pigs that you've had over the years?
Oh, not too many, because, at the end of the day, and, I hope the listeners are understanding that we grow protein for a start with the piggery. But so you don't want to get too linked to them, do you? And there are thousands and thousands. So, but I have heard on several occasions from the boys up there, they get very attached to the boars, because even though we do AI, artificial insemination, for summer infertility here, we do have teaser boars because, they have a job and all the women like to feel sexy, and it's just something that we do for a natural process. But Boris the boar made a big impact. He had quite the personality, and I think it was very sad for everyone when he had to go off to market. But usually, yes, if you drove around up there with me, you'd be very surprised at, it's like anything. They remind me of children. There are some who are really brazen that'll come up to you when you've got the car there, or they'll make different noises. There's some that'll do little donuts and show off in front of you. There'll be some that are shy and go away. So they are full of character. They're an incredible species, I have to say.
What's special about being out on the farm?
I think it's a real grounder in life. It's certainly not for the lifestyle, I have to say. Many people will, in a very quick sentence, say, oh, you're there for the lifestyle. But gone are the days where you have an operation where you get lots of time in agriculture. Everyone's had to become so much more savvy, and you have a lot on your plate. But I think the grounding factor of, you see death and you see birth, and we have a very harsh climate. So I always say you have to know what pain is to know what pleasure is. So we go through extreme droughts. We go through rotten mouse plagues. You go through a lot of trials and tribulations. But when you then go up to the piggery, or you see this beautiful land that you live on and that you look after and continue to make sustainable, and you're very environmentally aware to keep it going for the future generations and for Australia as a whole, it's very gratifying. And I think it's a privilege also to, we really pride ourselves on quality. And we said, right, if we're going to grow this pork, we want it to be an eating experience that the consumer deserves. And that's what we've prided ourselves on. We want it to be consistent week in, week out. We want to give our butchers exactly what they want. We weigh everything that goes through here, every single pig. And if a butcher says to me, Charisse, I want to get a dressed pig at 65 to 68 kilos with a P2, which is a fat depth of 12, that's exactly what they get. So, you know, it might be 10, it might be 11, it might be 12, but they pretty much get what they get as far as livestock goes. So, and I think the ability to be able to hone in on a system that we've done and get it right, it's very satisfying for that, and it's fresh. It's clean and green. There's no pollution. It's a good way of living. It's a great way of bringing your kids up, and then they explode out of here and have to, you know, visit the world. But you've started in a really, really authentic, clean place. I think that for me is the best thing.
Where does the product end up? What's the biggest markets for you?
So we go direct. So the majority here in Australia, which we're proud of, we want that. We don't want imported pork. This is a no-go zone as far as the conversation. We do go overseas. So, and there are countries overseas who love the clean green story of Australia, and they really harness it. You know, we're in Singapore, Hong Kong, etc. But so all throughout Australia, I still continue to do the whole carcasses, and the marketing team send the broken pork all around Australia and overseas. Again, you can get anything from, if you want to get a rolled roast to a French rack to a collar butt to, you name it, you can get it. And, you know, so it's going into retail. You do butchers. There are some wholesalers out there who are really keen and very dutiful to promoting the Gooralie story that we're proud of, having that paddock to plate story and being family owned and grown and operated. And very proud to say that you can get it in Australia for sure.
Who's the cook in the house, and is there a go-to pork dish in the family?
I'd have to say that I am the cook in the house. I'm sure that if Mark was here, he would say, no, my signature dish is this and that. And we laugh about that, the children and I. He has got some killer recipes, but inherently it's me. Our favourite pork dishes, there's not just one, there's a few. We love a massive big loin rack, and you know, it's beautiful because it gives you a combination of all the sensations. You've got your beautiful succulent meat, you've got your bone in there, you've got that amazing crackling. So you're getting everything rolled into one, and you know, whenever we get that done, we just tell the butcher to keep the loin together, and so we have this huge big feast, which is fun. You can't go past the humble roast. We have one of our children who, you know, for her 10th birthday just wanted all the crackling she could eat, and that's what she got, and was sick, and, you know, but still says, please make a roast, Mum. And then I think also the ribs, oh my God, you can't go past ribs, you know. They're so tender, they just fall apart, they melt in your mouth. I make them with a barbecue cum chili jam, and they're in a stock, so everything's just there fermenting, and then you grill it, and it is next level. So, we do love to eat here. We base celebrations around food, and we always cook pork when people come to stay because they expect it. We do eat other meat other than pork, though, I have to say.
How has farming changed your life?
It's given a lot of opportunity. You know, it's sort of, we've grown over the years. Mark and I have bought more properties over the years, so I think we've grown personally because, as I said, you know, we went from handling one staff member to 30, so we've grown in that way. We've Yeah, I've really enjoyed giving our employees an ability to work here, and safety and security. It's unique in at Gooralie because we are an hour northwest of Gundawindi and 4.5 hours west of Brisbane. Everyone lives on Gooralie, so we have like this community here. We have many houses, and I guess it's just helped us grow within ourselves more than anything, and given us a life that we can then provide our children with into the future. I don't know if they'll ever come home and do what we're doing, but that's okay. That's their life and their story to work out. Yeah, it's a good life, and I think that it teaches you reality. It's not easy being on the land, and it certainly makes you humble. And just when you think you get it right, you learn another lesson, and makes you focus on life as a whole.
Well, you've built an incredible brand there. What do you love about what you do?
I think giving everyone the opportunity to have this amazing pork. I think we've really got the system right now. It's down pat. We've been doing it for 20 years. I'm really proud of how it tastes. I'm really proud of, I should say we, it's Mark and I. We're very proud of how we get it right week in, week out. And I think I'm especially proud with the paddock to plate story because it's very legitimate and authentic. And we've done everything ourselves, from we breed to growing. We transport it ourselves. We make sure that the animal welfare is paramount at all times. You know, when they're transported on our trucks, we do it around the best time for the pigs because they don't like heat and they stress, and we don't want to compromise the meat for the consumer ultimately. So all of our trucks have shade cloth, misters. It's denoted around the time of the day. Then we slaughter at an export accredited abattoir. You need to have the best certification through the entire supply chain. And then I would like to think that coupled with that, we have everything under our banner. Everything's branded. All of our sales team, all of our staff, they're all doing it for this joint goal of Gooralie to be the best that it can be. And I hope that anyone who interacts with our sales team, with any of our staff when they're out there, with myself, with Mark, I hope that they are happy with how we're doing things and how we treat them.
Well, Charisse, it's been an absolute honour to have you on the Crackling today to hear just a part of your story. Please keep in touch, and we'll have to catch up again soon.
Oh, thank you, and thank you for your podcast. It's very interesting, and it's fantastic to hear different walks of life all of the time, and you often turn it on and listen to it when you might be having a challenging day or something. You go, yep, everyone's going through the same stuff. But at the end of the day, we just want that common goal of giving the best that we can. So thank you very much to you, Huck.
Well, a pleasure. We'll have to catch up again soon. Thanks, Charisse.
This is The Crackling, a Deep in the Weeds production in partnership with PorkStar. I'm Anthony Huckstep. Stay tuned as we catch up with some of Australia's best chefs and pork producers to discover what makes Australian pork so special.